Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ryan Tarrant, President and CEO of the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the second webinar for the Minority Business Partnership. The Minority Business Partnership was created last year to focus on increasing diversity in the Bay Area business community. In keeping with that, today we'll be talking about apprenticeships in our region. And I'd like to turn things over to today's moderator, Ali Smith. Ali serves as a realtor with Air Reinhardt and is also a chamber ambassador and the chairman of the Minority Business Partnership. Ali?
Thank you, Ryan. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Ali Smith, and I have the pleasure of introducing our featured speaker today, Sheril Tarrant. Sheril Tarrant, the Director of Business Services and Community Relations at Great Lakes Bay Region, Michigan Works. Sheril Tarrant is the Director of Business Services and Community Relations, a consortium of Saginaw Bay, Midland, Gratiot, and Isabella counties, established to operate workforce development programs for the region. Michigan Works strengthens the local economy by assisting regional employers in finding and retaining qualified employees, by assuring that the labor force meets the needs of regional employers. Prior to her position at Michigan Works, Sheril worked as the Director of Operations at the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Sheril resides in Bay City with her husband, Ryan, and 2 children. Tarrant received her bachelor's degree from Saginaw Valley State University. Welcome, Sheril.
Thanks, Ali. Well, we have a lot to cover today, and I'm pretty excited to talk about apprenticeships. Are we ready? Go ahead and share screen and get going, right?
Yes, awesome. So could you start off and tell us a little bit about Michigan Works and some of its services and benefits?
Absolutely. Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works is an agency that represents 5 counties, as you said, Bay, Midland, Saginaw, Gratiot, and Isabella County. Our primary customer is our employer. We provide services to employers, anything that really has to do with the recruitment, retention, and training for their employer or their employees. We also work with job seekers to ensure that through the voice of the employer, we're able to identify what their needs are. And then we believe at Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works, if we provide the training necessary to the job seeker, they'll become able to be competitive in the job market. And those job seekers then become the employees for our region's employers. We provide different services. We host a lot of job fairs. Right now we're doing some virtually, but last summer we were able to get outside and do some outdoor job fairs to do so in a safe COVID environment. But we also do labor market information. We research grants for our employers to see if training opportunities are available. We also provide services in posting positions. We also provide services in utilizing our social media reach, which like right now we have just a little bit over 8,500 followers on our Facebook page. So we're consistently putting out all of the jobs that we're posting for our employers out onto a social media network. We've had a lot of success. There's a lot of jobs posted right now, and we're eager to connect with as many employers as we can so we can connect them with the workforce and get our talent in the region moving forward and back to work.
Definitely. We want to get that employment level back up to where it needs to be. So what are registered apprenticeships?
Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works primarily works with US DOL registered apprenticeships. So that's the US Department of Labor. A US DOL registered apprenticeship has 5 components to it. The components generally are, that first level is that the employer is 100% in charge of all the foundation of the apprenticeship. There are 2 aspects to an apprenticeship. So you have to have what they call RTI, which is related technical instruction. I kind of think of it as like the classroom part of the apprenticeship. And then there has to be on-the-job training. So when you put those two things together, those are fully 100% designed by the employer. So the employer really is the person, is the key part of an apprenticeship. A USDOL registered apprenticeship has on-the-job learning. So there is a mentorship portion to it. So after an apprentice completes the classroom portion that the employer wants them to work on, they have to, depending on what type of apprenticeship it is, they have a certain amount of hours that the apprentice actually works hand in hand with a mentor or a journeyman level employee in the business. So they get that hands-on. There's other benefits to that because not only are they learning the job from someone who knows the job, but they're also learning how to work inside your environment. So you're creating the atmosphere, you're teaching them your company culture, you're getting them involved in what it is that your work family is. So the apprenticeship opportunity, the apprentice itself, they really become fully engrossed in what your company is. A big piece of a registered apprenticeship is that they have to show, when you set it up, you have to show a gain of wages. So when Ali, for example, if you were to set up an apprenticeship, you would say, when my apprentice starts, they're going to make $12 an hour. Their apprenticeship opportunity is going to last 4 years. And so you would have to show an incremental increase in their wages after they've reached some benchmarks. Say it's their first set of training. It could be, they've passed certain parts of certification, so their wages will go up. And then you say what their wages will be at the end. So that's a big part of what an apprenticeship is you have to show those incremental steps in increasing in the wages. And then the last part, which I think is the absolute coolest part of an apprenticeship, is that once the apprentice has completed your program, they have what would be called a nationally recognized transferable credential. So an example I like to use is that I have a friend who is a plumber. He grew up here in Bay City and moved to Lansing, became a plumber, fell in love with a girl, and moved off to Colorado. Because he was a USDOL registered apprentice, his certification transferred to Colorado. So he didn't have to do additional courses in order to pick up work. So by being part of that USDOL registered apprenticeship, it makes your credential transferable within the United States. So you can move anywhere and still have the credential that you've earned under your apprenticeship. So those are like the 5 major pieces. That's a lot for one question, wasn't it? Those are the 5 pieces to a registered apprentice.
Well, it was very informative, and it's good to know that once you put in all of that hard work to complete that apprenticeship program, that it does carry with you, and that anywhere that you go, that you can use those skills and knowledge to be able to gain employment wherever you are.
Absolutely.
So my next question is, who pays for this apprenticeship?
There are several different ways that you could get involved in an apprenticeship. The primary way would be to become employed by an employer who would sponsor you. And in that case, the employer would pay for your apprenticeship. You can also go in through, I'm aware that there are community colleges that have apprenticeship programs. So our community college in Bay City would probably be considered Delta. Delta does have apprenticeship programs, but the actual, the cost of it would be on the student. But I will say it is not out of the norm for people who go through the Delta apprenticeship programs. The employers will hire them straight out of those programs, and they have different programs, wind turbine, and I mean, that's across the board. There are a ton of them, and they are a great resource for anybody looking at some of the apprenticeship opportunities in the region. So that's another way that you could do it. So those are really primarily the 2 different ways, would be employer paid or by obviously the apprentice themselves.
That's awesome. Thank you for that information. And also, for our listeners and viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A box down at the bottom of the screen, and we'll try to get those questions answered for you before the end of this webinar. Could you tell us what are some of the occupations and industries that there are opportunities available in currently?
Well, currently, I can tell you there are, I think there were 400,000 apprentices participating each year in about 20,000 different registered apprenticeships across the country. I think that we all kind of put our blinders on. And I know that when I first started deep diving into apprenticeships, growing up, I grew up in Vassar. So growing up in Vassar, someone talk about apprentice, I'd think, oh yeah, someone who worked at GM, became an apprentice and learned a trade, and then they retired and it was a good life. I'm really encouraging people now to think outside the box. I really want people to think outside the box. There, anything that you really put your mind to, we can create an apprenticeship around. If it's not established, the USDOL is thrilled and loves the challenge. They really do. I know I'm speaking for another agency, but they really do. We enjoy the challenge of creating a new apprenticeship. There's cosmetology apprenticeships. There's chefs. There's apprenticeships for barbers. There's apprenticeships for EMTs. There's apprenticeships for home health care, for IT. I mean, I'm telling you, you name it, if your company does it, we can come up with an apprenticeship for almost everything.
That's awesome. So on average, how much income could be earned potentially over the span of a career by a worker who has completed a registered apprenticeship program?
I think the answer to that is, I think it kind of depends, just like any other career path. Some will make more than others. The USDOL does report that an average apprentice who completes their apprenticeship and is fully vested in their apprenticeship generally makes average $50,000 a year. And the savings of, like, I think they said like $300,000 over a non-apprentice in the span of their career. And of course, there's going to be some that make more and there's going to be some that make less, just based on what industry your apprenticeship is in. But I mean, it's a significant, it's a great living. It's a good amount of money to make in the Great Lakes Bay region.
So if a business were interested in starting an apprenticeship, where would they begin?
With me, they need to contact me. The whole process, I'm not going to lie, it's a USDOL apprenticeship. So yes, there's kind of, it's a government funded program. So there's paperwork. There's paperwork in everything that we do, I think, anymore. My job is to make it as easy as possible. So we would identify what your apprenticeship is going to look like and how many hours your apprentice would need to be invested in the apprenticeship. We would identify the courses and the trainings that you need in order to meet the credentials that you're looking for. And then I would contact my partner at the USDOL. Mary Beth Koski over at the USDOL is fantastic to work with. She has got years of experience, and I'm telling you, she knows what she's doing. So when she says, nope, Sheril, you can't do that, then I know, nope, I can't do that. But she's so willing to help and to guide us through the process. Once you establish kind of that outline of what you want your apprenticeship to look like, Mary Beth will help you develop your standards. And what those essentially are is, it's a contract saying what you want, you as the employer, what you want to happen during your apprenticeship, where you want your trainings done and what trainings you want, and the breakout of how you're going to handle the OJT or on the job training portion of the apprenticeship. And then, there's also the portions about, the safety, because you're responsible, just like any other employee, you're responsible for the apprentice and their safety. And then we get everything signed and sent into Mary Beth, and, it happens fast, and then you can hire your apprentice however you choose. I make it sound really easy, Ali. Like,
you do.
We'll get it done on Thursday. I mean, let's just go. But the front end of your apprenticeship part, that's the painful part, right? That's the designing and in the back and forth in emails. But once you have it established, you don't have to do that every time you hire an apprentice. You're hiring them under that program. So, I can help you remove some of the pain points in the beginning, and then it's easy peasy. We're rolling after that.
That's awesome. So you're kind of that liaison that kind of gets everybody started. You'll be that first point of contact.
Absolutely.
That's good. So what are some of the advantages and benefits of apprenticeships for career seekers and employers? I know that you touched on that a little bit earlier in the webinar, but could you give us just a few more benefits?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for an employer, my job is I represent the employer part of it. But what are the benefits for an employer? So in a time when we're really struggling to establish our workforce again, we're struggling to fill the talent gaps that are left in our companies because we've got people who are retiring. All the knowledge kind of goes out when we have a big group of retirees, right?
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to find the skilled workers that we're looking for. So apprenticeships can be used as part of your strategy to recruit, retain, and train your highly skilled workers. Um, there's a lot of evidence that shows that there's a reduction in the turnover rate in a company who has the apprenticeship opportunities, because it's the hope that the
Mhm.
apprentice sees that you see something in them and you believe in them enough to invest a lot of money, a lot of training, to get them the credentials they need to upskill themselves within your workforce. I think the statistic is 90% of employers who have a registered apprentice program in their company would recommend it to others. So that was one of our fun USDOL facts that I like to kind of flip around out there. Um, and the benefit to the employer also is the flexibility of developing the apprenticeship. You can develop it however you need it to look like in order for you to train and continue working. One example I would give you could do a front-loaded apprenticeship opportunity where you train all the classwork in the beginning of the apprenticeship and then do the on-the-job training at the end. And that would be like for our construction companies. So that's really a handy tool to have, because you can do all your classroom work while it's winter and nobody's outside building, and then do all the hands-on training in the summer when you can have them on site. So the flexibility piece is really important to an employer.
So, even like you spoke on like barbers and cooks and things like that, where they can get their skills a little bit better.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's all good information to know. Again, for our viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those questions in the Q&A box, and we will get those questions answered as well. Um, so how do you go about starting an apprenticeship in your business?
Well, that's what we had talked about. Contacting me, and we can work through what your needs are. We can work through what your certifications you're looking for, and we can design all of that together.
Okay. So as we wait for more questions to pop in the comment box, is there anything else that you can tell us about Michigan Works?
Well, I can also talk a little bit about the benefits, if you don't mind, to an actual apprentice. I don't know if you've heard the phrase "earn while you learn." That's what an apprenticeship really is. What's key to remember is that you are paid from the day that an apprentice starts on the job. They begin earning a paycheck. It's a really important piece of what an apprenticeship really is. The apprentice ends up getting the hands-on training, getting the classroom training, earning the credential, um, but they also end with no college debt. So I think that that's a really important piece to think about, as you're looking at maybe deciding if you yourself want to be a apprentice, or if maybe you're looking to hire an apprentice. Those are all selling pieces to your apprenticeship, and it can also be used as a recruitment tool as you're looking to build your workforce. You can get all of these credentials. I can pay you while you do that, and you have no college debt at the end, which I think is really important.
Definitely, I think that youth really need to know, I mean, and just people in general need to know that there are other options out there that, are less costly, and, that you don't have to spend, 2 or 4 years, in school.
Absolutely, absolutely. And our skilled trades right now are in high demand. I always joke, if somebody has a box of welders, I would take them in a heartbeat, because I am constantly being asked by employers for welders. And that's an apprenticeship opportunity right there. Um, you can barely get through school before you're plucked out for employment. So especially in our region, there is a high demand for welders.
So what are some of the other uh, job opportunities that are in high demand?
Well, one is EMTs, EMTs and paramedics. You will see, I encourage everybody to really kind of go to our Facebook page at Michigan Works, at Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works. We are right now recruiting for trainings for EMTs. Those are really good paying jobs. Um, it's a high demand training. It's a quick training. I think you can get it, and I might be off, but I think you can do it in 7 weeks with mobile medical, and you could be on the job earning, I think it's a little bit over 30,000 a year. So it's a good wage, great training, and we may be able to help pay for that if you qualify for services. So EMTs, that's a huge need in our region. So that would be one. Obviously, our healthcare industry, home health aides are always necessary, CNAs, especially with COVID. Just trying to make sure that all of our neighbors in our community are taken care of. There's a big need for the home health care. But even our manufacturers and logistics are hiring, a big uptick in that. And well, I guess this would be out in Isabella County, but there is a huge need out there. We have a wood chipping company that is really looking for welders like nobody's business. So I always plug our wood chipping companies, but and obviously, as our restaurants and hospitality are gearing up, they're looking to refortify their workforce and bring them all back. So anybody who needs help with their resumes or anything, I encourage you to contact us at michiganworks.com. We are able, ready, and willing to assist you in sharpening up your interview skills, your resume, and get you back to work.
Thank you. That's all wonderful information. Especially because you have some people that travel as far as Detroit to go to work. So they know that there's opportunities right here, closer to home, and you can get started, and like I say, as fast as 7 weeks, and be earning and learning.
Absolutely.
Those are great opportunities. So thank you for coming in on today on this webinar and sharing that great information with us. And definitely we will look forward to having you again in the future to share some more information about opportunities that come out in the future.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to turn the webinar over to Trey Pinkstock.
Thank you, Ali.
You're welcome.
Thank you to everyone else for their time today, Sheril and Ali. That was definitely some great information that you shared with everybody. So thank you for that. And if anybody out there is interested in learning more or getting involved in any of these apprenticeships, definitely reach out to Michigan Works. They can get you the information and get you what you need to know. For any of our members that are watching, we will include this video in our upcoming March Bay Chamber Banter newsletter, so definitely stay tuned for that. And we will also be sending out a survey to find out what content that we can supply to everyone. Please follow our Facebook page, the Minority Business Partnership, so we can update you guys with any information that we will be sharing. And again, we just appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. Please stay safe and stay warm.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.